Hi, I'm Kajal Mukhopadhyay, the VP of Performance and Measurement in Xaxis, which is a part of a group app company. We do digital advertising in almost all channels, including display, video, mobile, out of home. Today, actually, I'm going to talk about how to maximize mobile advertising in a programmatic paradigm. And that brings us to a couple of interesting points about understanding mobile advertising as it today, what it could be in future, and how we wanted to define mobile advertising into the space, and particularly tying up with that with programmatic. So that brings us to a couple of things to understand that what does it mean by mobile in today's landscape. It's a technology tool, it's a device that people use for multiple purposes. But for the purposes of understanding that how advertising will fit into this mobile, I define mobile into three distinct buckets. It is actually an ubiquitous device that has an omnipresence in our life. If you wanted to think about, it's always on, it's always with you, and it's part of becoming your lifestyle. So if you think about it, mobile is essentially a communication device. You pick it up in order to communicate with people. So in that way, it's part of your individuality. But it is also something that we call as a personal assistance tool. And we know from the history of this technology evolutions, we have PDAs, personal digital assistants. That was a separate device. We used to have emails. We have other type of communication tools that and the calendar management, time management, your health management, your wealth management. So these are the ways that people embedded mobile into their life, where they wanted to keep track of what is going on in terms of their environment. And the third one, most importantly, that's the evolution we have seen, is it's a content and entertainment consumption tool. So what does it mean? It means that we are increasingly using mobile device in order to read, watch, and be entertained, including video games and engagements. How we wanted to bring up content in terms of our kids learning. And it's been going everywhere into every aspects of our life. So what does it mean in terms of advertising? This is a very simple way to think about when do we do advertising? We do advertising in order to make people's life relevant to that brand. People wanted to understand that how they wanted to touch the brand, and if they wanted to perform a certain actions, they will do that. So all is happening into this mobile device. It is a technological marvel, and it's increasingly very powerful, particularly with respect to the speed of how we connect, which is again, is a part of technology that needs a lot of, I would say, a finer understanding in terms of how we touch our individuals. So if we think about this, we are expecting, and this is a Cisco report that came out this January, is that we will have 10 times more data that we consume today. And these are measured in exabytes, which is probably multiples of petabytes. Petabytes are multiples of terabytes, and the terabytes are multiples of gigabytes. So when we coming down to the normal sense, is that globally this is going to go by 2019 10 times. That's number one matrix. All the individuals will have on average 1.5 devices. That means that for the entire global populations, it will have at least 150% more devices. People have multiple devices to connect. And not only that, the speed at which we exchange the data, you're going to go up 2 times more. So if you are thinking about your 4G LTEs are connecting at a speed of 2 megabytes, it's going to be 4 megabytes. So content consumptions will only be going to be increased. And here's the interesting part. It has been estimated by 2019 that 3/4 of all mobile data exchanges will be on video. So that means that there is a tremendous potential for the advertisers to use this channel, mobile, to do the advertisements, because it will necessarily be into the last category I just mentioned, is content and entertainment consumption. So what does it mean for programmatic? Programmatic is in a very simple way, is an automated way of delivering your advertisements to the individuals. Now you can overlay with parameters that we essentially hold for the programmatic is the right time, the right people with the right message. And mobile is the best way because it's always on, it stays with you, it knows that where to do the advertising, and it also knows your pattern, it also knows your individuality, it also knows your lifestyle, your consumption pattern, your way of leading the life interacting with your outside environment. So all in all, it makes a huge difference how programmatic will maximize mobile. Now, bringing that to the today's state, currently, if you think about what is the mobile inventory, wherever the entertainment is coming, wherever that the content consumption is, people are using it in a multiple different way. However, the publishers are pushing the content into the mobile platform, it is only 30% of them are available through programmatic. That means that at present, an advertiser can only access a certain amount, which is probably a very small amount through the publishers. And that puts us into a next set of thinking is that what is the future? The future is something that will have 100% programmatic with a humongous scale and with a reach that is unprecedented, and everything will be measured into a programmatic paradigm. That's analytics becomes playing a big role. And it's going to be dealing with any issues with data, how you analyze the data, and how we wanted to maximize your revenue on your digital advertising. So having said that, I think the fundamental example that I'm going to use into this conversation is that if you have a very simple framework of understanding that if I'm giving an advertising that is either through a traditional way that when people are using an app within their phone, or they're browsing a website using their tablets, I have a way to give them an advertisement within the app, knowing who you are, how you're using the app, and where you want it to go in your purchase funnel, or it is your action funnel, or whatever the journey that you are in with respect to your brand. Whether it's just a basic browsing behavior or your action they wanted to buy something, within that funnel, you'd know when it would be the right time to make a difference between what is that effect or an incremental effect that if you would see with respect to the comprehensive multi-channel brand advertising. So I take these examples with respect to a traditional TV. Traditional TV spots are bought and sold really beyond and outside the paradigms of programmatic. But let's say that you wanted to use mobile in order to do an incremental reach. You wanted to know how people would react around the same times that you are running a TV commercial or a TV advertising. The mobile can allow you to get to that point that where even if you have a, I would say, upper funnel branding, the people will immediately go to the mobile and will interact. They could have just a Twitter message, or they can just go to the web page, or they could just essentially say that I wanted to buy because I know this brand and it just triggers me at this particular time that this is what I'm supposed to be doing because I've been holding myself off for quite some time. So whatever your action path, you would be able to measure the incrementalities that if you are delivering mobile ad into a synchronized environment. So when we try to access inventories in a programmatic way by overlaying a certain algorithm that allows you to synchronize the mobile delivery with respect to the TV advertisements, and you can see that there is a nice pattern. So the surprising part that we found is that when we just do a simple comparisons, A versus B, I have two different inventories. One of the inventory was delivered on time, and one of the inventories was always on, no matter when you are using your mobile. We don't see any differences, generally. So what does it mean in terms of maximizing your mobile? You might say that, okay, I don't want it to use a synchronized, but having had that conclusions can essentially will kind of blind you from understanding exactly how people are behaving, because there is a pattern on how people interact with the mobile. So when we start developing a finer analysis, we call that as analysis of variance in a statistical textbook. But we are able to make a difference between people are using different types of devices, like tablet versus a smartphone, or if they are using an app, it could be a gaming app, or it's an app that uses weather, or it's an app that allows you to stream music, versus your tablet where you have a bigger interaction center to the web. So you have two different kinds of inventories. And not only that, we are able to overlay with which day you are using and what time period you are using. So if you break it down by the day of the week and a defined period of time during the day, you see interesting pattern. This particular advertiser, which is a quick service restaurant, and interestingly, the people are interacting along with your TV when the ads were placed in sync with your TV commercials, mostly during the weekend. And it was also towards the evening of the weekends that has the highest impact. So what does it mean? It just tells you a very simple story, is that even though on the level that when you see that there is not a great effect of how you deliver your media into your mobile device, knowing that inventory is constraints, knowing that inventory is only reaching to an incremental audiences, but if you synchronized your delivery by optimizing how you wanted to allocate this inventory by reaching people, you see a distinct pattern. And why this is something that you think would be interesting for a future is that the people use mobile devices almost everywhere, whether it's in-home, out of home, whether they're consuming contents into a multi-channel environment. Depending on how you interact, it's going to give you a completely different view of how your advertising is driving your brand or any kind of KPI actions that you wanted to develop. So this is an interesting fact that overlays with how mobile is going to be pretty much. It is already here. From an advertising perspective, it's just need a proper directions in order to allow yourself to understand that what is the maximizing impact of mobile advertising into a programmatic way. So having said that, I will kind of settle down with one thing, is that there are different ways that we measure mobile. One of the common ways right now we do is that how people click or swipe or visit some websites. But think about, increasingly mobile will be connected, and then there will be other ways or indirect ways of taking an action. For example, you could command someone, or you can tell someone, if you could search someone, or if you even at some point would be able to say, buy me a pair of gloves. So those are the kinds of things that is only going to add to the tactical funnel of the people, how they take actions, but it's only going to have a bigger impact because you will be now expanding into many different formats, many different ways that you interact on the mobile. As well as the mobile device will evolve, there would be some technology that probably is not available today. So if you can prepare yourself, the way that we have run this experiment to let you understand is that it ties to a behavior, and the behavior leads to an action. And if you know that how people react into their purchase path, it's going to be a fantastic for advertising. Thank you.